Hi everyone, it is Krista here, and I've got a quick video to talk about a few terms. We have selvage edges, width of fabric, length of fabric, and how all of these things impact when you're figuring out how much fabric you'll need to create your quilt. For the selvage edge, this is part of a cutoff from some other fabric. The selvage edge is very different. It's not something that you are going to want to include in your quilt. When you're looking at fabric on a bolt, the two ends that meet together at the top are going to have this extra bit of fabric. It's going to match typically, but it's just different. It's thicker, it's just got a whole different feel and texture to it, which is why you don't want to include it in the regular part of your quilt. And as you go to unroll your bolt of fabric, you're unrolling kind of that length of fabric. So the length of your fabric is just how much you want to buy. So if I say I want 20 inches of fabric, then the person at the store is going to unroll the bolt and probably give me a couple extra inches than 20, just in case the previous cut wasn't straight, so that way you in fact have your full 20 inches. And the distance in between your two selvage edges here, now when it's rolled on a bolt of fabric, it's rolled in half, or folded in half and then rolled. Otherwise, you'd have these really long bolts of fabric to be carrying around instead of something that's just this wide. So and I think I'd mentioned a little bit earlier in a video where the selvage edge and the distance or width of fabric is the amount of fabric in between those two selvages, can vary from one manufacturer to the next. And this, I know that this fabric is not actually attached to my bolt here. So from one bolt to the next, your width of fabric here may change, but slightly. There's, anywhere between 42 to 44 inches in this width is very common. And depending on the selvage edge, some are narrower, some are wider. You may not be able to get 42 inches of fabric in between. So when I'm talking about rounding the number down to 40 inches, it's a safe number. I have not met a fabric where I didn't have 40 inches. And I have one more example. Over here, this piece of fabric has a narrow selvage on it, and then a very wide selvage on it. And this one, when I measured to find out how much usable fabric I had of this print only came to 40 inches. The material itself from selvage to selvage is 44, but due to the width of this selvage, it definitely decreased the amount of the blue polka dot fabric available to be used. So I hope this helps answer some of your questions about those terms. So selvage edges, they're the two parts that are they're different, they fold together, and that's how your fabric is wound on a bolt. And when you're moving fabric off that bolt, that is your length of fabric.